Hey budget gardener, it's Vita Loki here. Join me today as we clean up my front walkway garden. So let's go. We are on the west side of my house. You can see right behind me, this is the front of my house. This area has seen a lot of change this year, but there is still work to be done. So let me take you in and I'm going to show you what we're going to work on today. This small flower bed right in front of us is called my pansy holding bed. If you'll remember earlier in the spring, there were a ton of pansies blooming in this area. Part of what we're going to do today is just cut back any remaining pansies that are in this flower bed and then we're going to mulch it. I love to grow dahlias in pots. In fact, I made a video showing you my process for potting up a dahlia plant and I'll link it down below. But I recently came in and potted up some more dahlias, and these are dahlias that I overwinter each year and I'm able to divide. I love the dwarf variety. I think they look great in little pots and containers. So I have some more that I've potted up and they just need to get placed up along the walkway. I had a nice big load of mulch delivered recently, so we will be adding mulch to this area that we're going to be working in today. There's a perennial up along the walkway itself, and it's a type of Coreopsis. It is very, very pretty. It put on a wonderful show, and at this point, there are just a few flowers left in each grouping that I have here. At this point, I want to come in and do a hard cutback or prune job on all the Coreopsis plants so that they can reflush and put on more flowers in the near future. There's just minor weeding that needs to be done along the walkway. Even though I weeded it a while ago, weeds have come back. That's all part of gardening, right? And then the other thing that needs to be done is just adding some more annuals in this space. I already have some annuals in here, such as coleus, and there's some trailing lobelia. There's also some snapdragons as well as alyssum. Today, we're going to be adding a bunch of plants that I started from seed, one kind of plant specifically, and it's called Gomphrena. I'm very excited because I've never grown Gomphrena from seed, and this is exactly where I want to place a whole bunch of those plants. Once we get the potted dahlias in here and the Gomphrena in here, we'll also be adding a nice layer of mulch. I have some landscape lighting up here along the walkway. They've seen better days. They are a number of years old. You can see that they are broken or cracked. So we will be replacing them with some new lighting that I have. Before I add the mulch, it's just a good idea to do some general weeding. I don't like laying mulch on top of weeds. I feel like it's just putting a Band-Aid on something temporarily. So it's worthwhile to spend the time and just do a little bit of weeding before we put the mulch down. We have little seedlings of the oak trees and they are everywhere. So I am going to hand pull them. It's pretty painful because there are a lot here, but fortunately it can be done pretty quickly. And sometimes we just forget some as we do it, and that's fine. But what will happen is they will get quite large, and as they get larger at that time, I can always come back and pull them out. But as I see them, I'm pulling them out right now. Another thing I like to do is just use this hand rake, and very lightly, I'm just raking the surface here. Part of the reason I'm doing it lightly is because the pansies that were in the pansy holding bed have started to sprout. In other words, the pansies that were here dropped their seeds, and those seeds have started to germinate. Those will be the plants that I'll end up having for next year. So I don't want to rough them up too much, but I am trying to get the rest of the little helicopters that have fallen from the trees. And if I end up getting a little bit of extra mulch with it, that's totally fine. I didn't know if you knew this, but chipmunks actually like to eat there's like a little seed inside of that helicopter seed that comes out from the trees. Oftentimes you'll find the chipmunks scurrying around and they like to eat the little small seed that's inside of that larger seed pod. And when I see the chipmunks doing that, I tell them there's plenty more where that came from. They just can't seem to eat them fast enough. Many people, including myself, like to wait until any of these seed pods that trees create have fallen, because if you put down mulch and then all those little seed pods fall, all of a sudden they're making a mess of your mulch and they're germinating. So that's one of the reasons why I've waited this long. But to be honest with you, the biggest reason why is I just haven't gotten to putting down all my mulch. And I had a large amount of it brought in by a truck from a local landscape company. It's usually pretty cheap to do it that way. And because I have a lot of flower beds, it makes sense to do that versus buying bags of mulch. The pansies that were here in the springtime will end up dying off. They will not come back next year. So what I've already done, and I missed a few of them, is I just came in and I just cut them back. I could pull them out too, but the reason I don't want to pull them out is because there are a lot of pansy seedlings that have started to pop up in here. And if I start pulling out plants, I'm going to be disturbing all those little seedlings. I had left an example here to show you, but basically you can see that we still have a pansy that's blooming, but its days are outnumbered. I mean, we are having temperatures in 90 degree, almost 100 degree Fahrenheit these days. That's why I'm going in and cutting them back. And that's an example of a pansy seed pod that has already opened up. And all the seeds have come out, which means they've all been scattered already. Mother Nature did her thing. The seeds have been scattered in this area. So at this point, all that's left to do is just come in here and again, just cut these back. When I was cleaning this flower bed recently, I had also taken a picture of a seed pod that had seeds inside of it. So I'm going to pop that up on the screen for you. That way, if you're looking for how to collect your own seeds from pansies, then you'll know what to look for. In fact, this is a seed pod right here. Let's go ahead and open it up and let's see if the seeds in there are ripe or not. So if we take our seed pod and we just squeeze it with our fingers, that's what the seeds look like. If they were a white color, that means that they're not ready yet, they're not ripe. But these seeds are starting to turn brown. They might be ready. Usually they're a little bit darker brown than that, but I'm going to go ahead and scatter them anyway. And see those teeny tiny little seedlings? Those are pansy seedlings. Hooray! Believe it or not, even after we cover them all up with a light layer of mulch, they will be fine, and I'll show you later this season how they are all popping through the mulch layer. I'm going to continue on with weeding, cleaning out this area. There are a couple of perennials, like a black-eyed Susan. There's also another perennial over here, which is a great blue lobelia. You know me, I can't just throw out perennials. They're all very good plants. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit more of this type of cleanup, a little more maintenance, weeding. And after that, let's go ahead and apply a nice layer of mulch. I gathered some 3-inch pots. I put potting mix in them. And I think you're going to be proud of me. From the pansy holding bed, I only potted up 4 plants. I'm leaving this baby behind, and there are others just like it. Those are black-eyed Susan or Rebecca. Now you know I don't like to throw away plants, but let's face it, I have a whole bunch of little seedlings like the black-eyed Susan all throughout this walkway bed, pretty much seedlings all around there. So for today, I'm just gonna leave all these little seedlings here. They are not gonna bother me one bit. They are not doing anything harmful. They are just living their best life. And when they get larger, at that time, I can go ahead and weed them out. But they are so small in the whole scheme of things that they can stay in here a little bit longer. There's another one right there. And let's be honest, there's a certain point when it comes to a scope of a project where you just have to do what you have to do. So for today, I'm going to leave the smallest seedlings and let them be. And then the larger seedlings I've gone ahead and dug up from this area because we have mulching to do. I lied. I was going to mulch, and then I reminded myself, wait a minute, Vita, you need to put in some annuals. We need to get those in first. I mean, we don't have to, but honestly, it'd be much easier if we did. I wanted to take a little bit of a break from the project, and I figured it's a great time for me to unbox some new garden lights that a company called Gardenreet sent me out, specifically for my front walkway. So let's go ahead and unbox this together and see what's in here. So we'll open this box first. And I can just tell by feeling it, it feels very heavy. It says it's a brass accent light, and it's specifically to project up on top of my house. So there looks to be some accessories in here. This looks to be the light fixture itself. The light fixture comes in 2 pieces, and I'm going to show you a close-up of what it looks like. This is the piece that comes out in front of the light, and then right here is the actual light bulb with the light fixture. So this says LED, and this looks like an LED bulb, so I'll have to read the directions to see what we need to do with this. And then we have the stake, and that's just so we can stake the light fixture into the ground. I just pulled out 5 additional light fixtures. So for this project, we have a maximum of 6 light fixtures we can put up along the front walkway. I am so excited about that. It's going to look so pretty. So now we're going to open this box. It says 75-watt switch. In this little bag, it looks like we have a small screwdriver as well as screws. This is heavy. So this looks like some sort of a transformer. It has a plug that will plug into the house, and then the wires for the DC powered lights will get plugged into this. Now we'll go ahead and open this. It's 100 feet of low voltage landscape lighting cable. My break is done. I am rejuvenated. Let's go finish up the gardening project. I so badly want to get that mulch put down, but let's face it, haste makes waste. It makes more sense to get these Gomphrena put in the ground first. I started Gomphrena from seed, and this is my first time growing Gomphrena from seed, and they were from seed that I collected. I'll put links to those type of videos down below in case you're interested. I think they look so cute, and I love the color that they're showing. So we're just going to go ahead and pack in this area with some Gomphrena. In each planting hole, I'm just going to put a small pinch of this Osmocote slow release fertilizer. I buy it in bulk on Amazon, but you can often find it at local garden centers. So what I'm going to do is just use my shovel, and I'm just going to make a hole. We need a starting point. And the soil is moist because I have drip irrigation in this flower bed. We will water everything afterwards, but if you are planting in a very dry soil or a pot, you want to make sure you pre-moisten it. Just a small pinch of the fertilizer, and I'm just squeezing the side of the pot. Fortunately, they are not very pot bound or root bound. If they were, I would have to loosen up the roots a little bit, but they are actually pretty good. So we can go ahead and put it in, and we just want to make sure that the crown of the plant is at soil level. And then I can just backfill, push down. We have rain coming tomorrow, so this is a great day for me to be doing this planting project. I'm going to use my shovel. I'm going to go out this way, double check, make sure it's good like that, and then plant in this hole right here. I can see as I'm digging that I have drip irrigation right there, which is great. Fertilizer. When it comes to fertilizer, I also like to give my annuals Miracle-Gro. And I give them Miracle-Gro every 1 to 2 weeks. It really just depends on my schedule. When you think about it, annuals bloom their little heads off for a long time, spring, summer, maybe even into the fall months. So for that reason, you want to make sure that you're feeding them so that they can keep doing what they need to do. Because the scope of this project is pretty big, well, at least it's big for me, I will show you small bits and pieces. I'm going to turn the camera off, I'm going to go to town, get all these plants put in this bed here, and then I'll show you what's next. I got the Gomphrena planted, and you can see it on both sides of the container pots here. I think they're going to look really pretty. If I'd put them in a month earlier, I'm sure they'd be a lot bigger. But honestly, I'm really, really impressed with these plants. I think they are so beautiful already. I'm excited that they're already showing a little bit of color. But the funny thing is, I feel like I hardly put a dent into the tray. We still have at least more than half the tray left here. And let me show you something else. You know when you collect your own seeds and you just sow a whole bunch of the seeds because you're not sure what's going to germinate? Well, you can see we still have so much Gomphrena. But I think for right now, we're going to settle with what's been planted so far. The way I look at it is I might be able to come back in here later on. I can always move the mulch aside and I can add more Gomphrena in this space. But I have another plant that I actually want to tuck in here. Do any of you know what that is? Well, that's a pretty blossom of sweet alyssum. And these are not very pretty blossoms of sweet alyssum. So we are going to go in, we're going to prune them back really hard, which honestly, normally this time of year, you want to prune back your alyssum anyway. And well, I have a lot of alyssum. Ignore the pepper plants. These are all alyssum plants. Some of them are purple, some of them are white. And at this point, I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead. We're going to give them all a haircut. We're going to cut them back by about 30 to 50%, and we're going to get them planted. Not all of them, but enough of them. And to make myself feel better, I just wanted to show you, up along the walkway, I did get a whole bunch of alyssum planted in here. And it looks really pretty. So, you know, eventually the alyssum that we're going to plant today will look this beautiful. Faith in gardening, my friends. I could give you 100 reasons why these alyssum look the way they do, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do we fix the problem. I have to imagine I'm not the only one that has this problem. You might have alyssum in your landscape and it looks really scraggly like this. So what do? We are going to come in and we're going to prune it. You could come in and selectively deadhead the plant, but honestly, it's far gone, that point. It's too far gone. So we are going to come in and we are just going to give it a nice, healthy haircut. Look down here. You can see that there is some new growth happening right there. There's some new growth happening right here. There's new growth happening right here. There are a lot of places where it's trying to push out some new growth. A little bit down there. So it's really up to me, or really up to you, how far you want to cut it back. We're going to cut it back, I'd say about 50%. And the plant won't look like a whole lot of anything. But guess what? It doesn't look like a whole lot of anything right now anyway. So we have nothing to lose. We have a lot to gain. Sweet alyssum, also known as lobularia, is a plant that benefits from being pruned. You normally want to do it sometime during the middle of summer. So it's a perfect time for us to be doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it like that and very carefully, without getting my fingers, I'm going to snip. And that's it. It's that simple. Again, it's going to push out new growth down here, and we'll see some new growth coming even from these areas here. A little bit over here, a little down here, a little bit everywhere. Yay! I feel so happy that we did this. Let's get it planted. I love using my shovel just to measure things out. So I want to be in the center here. And if I just put my shovel, I'd like to put the alyssum halfway between each of the plants and where this red mark is. I was thinking to myself, you know, if you go to a big box store, garden centers, they often, around the 4th of July, give or take a few weeks, they start marking down their plants. And their plants look just as pathetic, if not worse, than the plant I'm showing you right here. You can do the same thing. You can buy those plants for cheap to nothing, cut them back, give them fertilizer, and you still have plenty of season left in that plant. Maybe you have a pot or a container that's just not looking good, or you want to add something to it. You can definitely do something like this. I've shown you one. Now I have many more to do. I'm going to do the same exact thing. In between each of my Gomphrena, I'm going to measure it out, about half a shovelful. I'll put fertilizer in the hole. I'll put in my cut back, pruned back alyssum, and keep on moving. That gives you a general idea of how it looks now that we have the alyssum in here. It's been cut back nice and hard. And we just have to do that to our plants sometimes in order for them to thrive. So the next step is finally to add a nice clean layer of mulch onto this area. And this is the before shot, and you're going to see what a difference it makes just to add a little bit of mulch. And while we wait for these annuals to wake up, we at least have these nice container pots here with the dahlias in it. And the dahlias are providing a little bit of color. And within a few weeks, we'll have more color with the annuals that we've underplanted the dahlias with. I like to use a 5-gallon bucket. I have a nice shovel. And I find with a bucket, I can just really sprinkle the mulch around nice and easy. I mentioned many times in my videos that gardening is therapy for my mind, body, and soul. And rather than going to the gym and working out, I'd much rather be playing in my garden. You can't beat the smell of fresh mulch. And I literally can do this a number of different ways. I can take a handful of it and just throw it in like this. And like I mentioned, because I have the pansies in here, and I want the pansies to come through the mulch, I will not be putting a very heavy layer of the mulch. It's going to be a light layer. It's for aesthetic reasons, but it's also to help suppress weeds. but I don't want to suppress my pansies from coming through the mulch. So I could do it this way. I could also pick up the bucket and I could just sprinkle a little bit at a time like this. A lot of different ways to accomplish the same task. But then I can come in here, get the mulch off my plants, and now I want to make sure I'm just moving my mulch around. If I had to guess, it's about 1 inch of mulch that I'm putting down, 1 inch deep. And in case you're wondering, I had 8 yards of mulch delivered to my house. It looks so much better having this layer of mulch on here. So I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to mulch the rest of this area, and then I'll tell you what the next thing is. I'm almost sure the name of this coreopsis is lance leaf coreopsis, also the big flower coreopsis. It has a couple of different names. It has gotten very, very leggy. And when I say leggy, it just means that the blooms are flopping everywhere. And you can see that they are starting to go to seed. Now, what's really nice about this coreopsis is that when you deadhead it or prune it back, it will keep putting out flowers for you. They might not be as nice as the first flush of flowers, but that's totally okay. The key right now is to just cut back those spent blooms because they look so unsightly right now. It's going to look so much cleaner when we get this job done. So this is true with any plant out there. If you wanted to collect the seeds of, let's say, coreopsis, then you would want to keep these seed pods here and you would want them to dry out. But I don't want to collect the seeds of this plant. To be honest with you, this is a very easy plant for me to divide. When it comes to cleaning this up, there are two things you can do. You can either prune the plant back or you can deadhead it. Deadhead means to follow a flower stem all the way down and cut it back. I'm going to show you that method and I'm going to tell you why you might want to deadhead versus prune. In this example here, that is the spent bloom. If we were to follow it down right there, you can see that that is a flower bud right there. So you would follow the spent bloom down the stem and you would deadhead right above that next bud right there. And that's great, but can you imagine doing that process times that many flower stems all the way down the front of my walkway? It would take forever. If I only had one small plant in my whole entire yard, I would absolutely spend the time, follow each one of these guys down and deadhead them. But I have a lot of these plants in my yard. I have the same plant in my rose garden in my backyard. For that reason, I'm going to be coming in and I'm going to be cutting these back very hard to really clean this up, knowing that I might sacrifice some blooms or some flower buds. And that process that we're going to do is called pruning. So with pruning, I'm going to basically be coming in here and taking a whole bunch of these in my hand, like this. And I could use something like my hand pruners. And I want to cut this down very close to the level where all the leaves are, just above the canopy of the leaves. And I can cut. Or I could use a tool like this. I think it's called a grass clipper. And again, I'm just trying to get a whole handful of this material, just like that, and then we cut. It really is personal preference on what you want to use for your tool or what you have handy. And it also is a personal preference on whether or not you want to deadhead each individual bloom or if you want to cut a whole bunch of them like I'm doing. At the end of the day, I just want a really nice, tidy looking plant because right now it is very leggy, it's very unsightly, there are hardly any blooms on it. My hands will be tired, but time to get cutting. The mulch has been applied, all the alyssum have been planted, we have the Gomphrena in, and what a difference it makes. One thing I was thinking of doing, not as part of today's project, but on a different day when I have time, on this side of this bed, there's a little bit more space right in here. And I have some coleus that needs to get in the ground. So if I get to it, I may plant some coleus in here. And if I don't get to it, that's perfectly fine too. And that's what it looks like when you look at it from this angle. Up along the walkway, all of the Coreopsis has been cut back nice and hard. Look what a difference it makes when you do that. It is so important with plants, both annuals as well as perennials, to give them the proper TLC that they require if you want them to keep performing for you, if you want to tidy up things and have them look good. On this side of the flower bed, I wanted to show you, I have more seedlings of the black-eyed Susan or Rebecca, and you can see seedlings of the pansies there as well. When it comes to those seedlings, I am keeping them here for right now. I anticipate within the next month, I'm going to have to come through this area and dig out all of those plants. Now, could I dig them all out right now and just put them in my compost pile? Sure, but I don't want to do that. I do like black-eyed Susans, and they sell very well for me in my plant nursery. Plus, I like them in my landscape. So I'm going to keep them here for now. And like I said, I'm going to let them put on a little bit more size to them. And on a rainy day, cool day, when I have time, I'll come here and start digging these out. But otherwise, everything is looking really, really good. And this is what it looks like when we look at it from the other side of the walkway. Now, one thing you'll notice is we have some gaps right here. And the reason we have gaps there is I had a spring bulb. They were grape hyacinths that were there, and they've been cut back. So now what I want to do is place some container pots that I've already put together. And I've made videos showing you my process for potting up dahlia tubers. So that's what we're going to put here next. And after we place those, a fresh layer of mulch will also get added here. But before we put the mulch and those container pots down, we have one more job to do. We have lupine right here, right there, right here, right over here, everywhere behind me. And it's gone to seed. It is semi-invasive in this area. I made a video recently showing you the lupine that's in this area, and I talked a lot about it. So if you want to know more about why I'm about to do what I'm going to do with my lupine, you need to watch that video. So let's get to work. I am sorry to do this to you, lupine plant, but your time has come. I kept you here for too long, and there is no room for this plant right here in this part of my garden. One down, many to go. Look at the taproot on this plant. And I want to point out, see those little nodules on the roots? That's what makes a lupine a nitrogen fixer. I'll put more information on the screen, but I just wanted to point those little round things that you see on the roots there. Pretty cool, huh? So for the scope of this walkway project, I will remove a few more that are over there. And as we pan this way, I'll remove some that are in this area, but I'm not going to go too far deep because there are a whole ton as we head down in there and a whole ton as we head down in there. We're just going to stay close to the walkway, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of these out. This project is not done, but I'm calling it done for today. It looks so much cleaner. I really am pleased with it. So along the walkway, the mulch layer was added, and you can see that the container pots that I made have also been added. And the container pots have plants that pretty much are free to me. There are dahlias in each of these container pots, and then there is creeping jenny, and that's a perennial where I live. And then there's lamium, or dead nettle, and that's also a perennial where I live. And all of these pots are going to fill out over time. They are really pretty, and I want to thank some of you that gave me the suggestion. I was saying how I just like to reuse pots that I have. They're nothing glamorous, and a few of you mentioned I could just easily spray paint them. So I think I might do that next year. For this year, I just wanted to get this job done. But I like that idea because why buy a whole bunch of pots if I can just spray paint them? So few things left to do here. I need to just blow off the walkway. I made a little bit of a mess. I need to add a little bit more mulch on that side of the bed, but I want to wait until the new lights get installed. So I just want to bring you in here so you can see how everything is looking. It just looks so lush. There is a hosta. Every year, for whatever reason, I get a hosta plant that self-seeds itself. It comes from over where my pond is, and it's bizarre. So I just need to come in and pull a hosta plant out. Look how fresh and clean that looks. And I am so happy pulling out those lupine. I need to put water in my bird bath. We'll do that as part of this project too tomorrow. But look at the lupine. They're gone. I won't lie. I'll be very honest. The lupine were really upsetting. I just had them everywhere in this garden bed. They self-seeded everywhere. So I wanted to keep them, but you just can't keep every plant. And again, you need to watch that video, and it explains why I'm not keeping the lupine. So everything has been really cleaned out in this area. And I didn't show it, but I had a boxwood that was here, and it matched the boxwood that was on that side. It did not look good. So most likely part of this project will be just coming in here and just adding some soil, because I had to remove the boxwood with some of the soil. So that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow, which will be in a moment just for you. It is the next morning, and we are getting a little bit of showers right now, which I'm very happy about because we needed it for all the annuals that we planted in the ground. The next project to do is to install the new lights. But before we install the new lights, we need to go in and just remove the old lights. I'm going to take you in for a closer look and show you what I'm talking about. You can see the cord right there, and that's the cord that leads up to the lights. There's one light over there. So we just need to come in and start removing the old lights. We're going to remove some of the cord here, and I'm also going to show you just assembling one of the lights so that you know how to do it in case you have the same type of lights or you want to get the same type of lights. This is the transformer box. We've already removed the screws from the front cover, and now we're going to remove the top cover. Inside is the timer and the terminals for the common and the 12-volt wires. There are different holes to insert the wires. We chose to remove the plastic piece because we're going to be inserting the wires there through a hole. The on-off switch is located right here. Even though it's not provided with the kit, if you wanted to insert a daytime, nighttime photocell plug, it would get inserted right there. But we're choosing to use a timer instead. So now let's go ahead and assemble the parts of the light. So the first step is to insert the light bulb. And it's going to get inserted right here. So there are the terminals that are going to get inserted. Now the cover is getting put back on, and the gasket is on the side. Be sure to tighten, but don't over tighten. This is how you would adjust the angle of the light right here. For right now, they're getting pointed straight up, and we'll fix that once they're installed in the landscape. So here is the stake, and we're going to insert the stake inside of the light. Now, depending on your soil condition, you may need to make a hole first before you put the stake into the ground. Or you may need to install the stake first and then thread the light in afterwards. The next step is to add the light shroud, and we can always adjust it later. We may end up having to cut this wire to be shorter because this is going to get attached to the main wire that goes up to the transformer. And then there are also these little connectors. There were no instructions in the box on what to do with them, but we'll be popping some instructions in the description below that show you what to do with these connectors. Out with the old and in with the new. So these are the 3 lights that got pulled out, and along with the lights, we have the old transformer, and we'll probably keep the transformer just in case we need it or want to use it for anything. So now let me show you where the new lights are going. So we have one floodlight that's going to get placed here at the corner of the pansy holding bed. We have another floodlight that's getting placed at the opposite corner of the pansy holding bed. And then 2 additional lights are going to be placed along the walkway in the center there. And then 1 around the bend of the walkway. And then a final light will get placed in the bay window flower bed area. So I'm currently on the front porch, and you can see that the wire has been added to the transformer. We'll eventually plug it in. We'll set the timer up with 1 light and see how it works. So the first thing we're going to do here is take the main line and separate the 2 wires using a knife, or a box cutter is fine too. And here it is separated. And now we're going to unscrew the provided connectors and go ahead and slip the connectors onto the wire. And then the point is going to stab through the insulation and into the wire. And now we're tightening it up. And we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. The wire that's provided comes pre-stripped, but we need to cut it shorter. So because of that, we need to re-strip the wire. Just pull off whatever length of wire that's needed, and then use wire cutters to cut it. And then separate the 2 wires like we did earlier. And because we cut the wire, we have to re-strip. And now we're just twisting the copper strands so that they don't go everywhere. The next step is to take off the cap, slip the cap over the wire, and right there is a terminal. We're snaking the wire around the terminal, and then the cap is getting screwed back in just to jam everything back together again. And then we're just tugging on the wire to make sure it's secure. After doing a couple of lights, it's always good to test things out just to make sure they're working. And it's working. The final step that needs to be done is to just barely bury the wire underneath the mulch. We don't want to bury it too deep, because as we plant annuals or anything like that, we want to be able to see where the wire is. This project is complete. It took 2 days to do it. It was quite an intensive project, but I'm so excited. This is the front of my house. I want it to look nice, and putting in the amount of effort was so worth it. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this project. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. A big shout out to Gardenreet for giving me the lights for my landscape. If you're interested in the lights, I'll put a link to the lights below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.